Hello everyone and welcome to Art with Ashley, typically known as Art with Ashley and Penny on YouTube, but today it's just me. So today we're going to be again working with some recycled materials. We are going to do a little project that I just had done over in one of the assisted living units, and involves yarn and cardboard. And we're going to create these really cute yarn wrapped hearts. And eventually when you get, 4 or 5 of them, you can string them together and create a really cute garland that you can use as decoration for Valentine's Day, which is quickly approaching here. So I'm going to show you my supplies first and we'll go from there. Okay, so just a piece of cardboard. It was cut off a box, nothing special. I do have a heart template that's made out of cardstock. Typically how I make these, I use like a regular printer paper or whatever, something that I can easily erase. And a good way to create your heart is by folding your paper in half, essentially. I don't have one here to show you, but folding your paper in half and then creating this sort of half heart shape, right? And so then once you do that, you can cut that out. And when you open it up, your heart should be symmetrical on both sides. Again, use pencil to do that portion. And then, don't do that, I guess, if you aren't needing a template for something all the time, but being that, Valentine's Day rolls around once a year and we do many activities having to do with the holiday and just hearts in general, I have a little folder with different templates. That way I'm not wasting time creating those every time we do a project. So again, heart template. I have some painter's tape here, but you could use regular tape as well. And I'll show you what we'll use this for. Marker or a pen or something so that you can trace your heart. And then I've got just a regular pair of scissors. And if you feel like you need it, I didn't think you really needed it that much when I was cutting these out before, but this is an X-Acto knife or, box cutter, something that's sharp. That is also useful. Oh, and of course, I have some yarn here. So different types of yarn. The thicker your yarn is, the less you have to wrap. The thinner your yarn is, you're going to be there for a little bit longer. So, okay, so to begin, I'm going to take my cardboard here and trace my template on it. I think I'm going to switch my my view so that you can see my workspace a little bit better. So you won't be able to see my face, but you'll be able to hear my voice at least. Okay, hopefully that is a little bit easier to see here. Okay, so I am just going to trace my heart on here. I like using the black Sharpie because I feel like it shows up better, easier to see. Whoops. I guess it didn't go all the way around. Okay. So there is my heart, and I will cut that out. So this is from a regular cardboard box, but you probably could use you know, cereal box or something like that, some sort of thinner cardboard. Basically, this is just giving us the shape that we're going to want to be using. Okay. So we are getting there. Okay, so there is the heart. I'm just going to move the cardboard out of the way here so I've got a little bit more room to work. Okay, so I'm going to select a yarn here, and I really like this red yarn. It's really, really fun. So I'm going to find the end of it, and I'll place it in the middle here, and with a little piece of tape, I'm just going to tape that piece to the cardboard, and we'll begin wrapping. Now, there is no rhyme or reason to which way I'm going first, or you know, I'm not trying to make it perfectly symmetrical or you know, even on every single side. I find that if you sort of work in the round, you know, so I'm turning this heart around. I don't know if you can kind of tell that. Turning it around quite a bit. And just really trying to kind of work right across. So you can see that. I'll come back up here. I'll cross over again, and I'll come back up here now. And I'll kind of go around. So I'm not sure if you were able to see my video last week, but I also did something with yarn and cardboard. If you did not catch that, that is on my YouTube channel, which is Art with Ashley and Penny. She was, Penny being my daughter, was featured on that video. Similarly to that project, I like this and I like the materials because A, the cardboard is recycled, and B, the yarn is soft. It's something familiar. You know, many people have knitted or have knit or crocheted before, or done tatting or something that, you know, really requires that dexterity and that hand-eye coordination, right? So not just your strength to grip and, you know, weave in and out, but also the ability to see what you're doing if you're doing some, you know, finer work. And, you know, as we get older, sometimes we have to modify the activities that we used to enjoy. So creating an alternative to knitting, if per se you're not able to grip those knitting needles quite as you used to, or perhaps your vision has gotten a little harder to see what you're working on. I know it's not exactly the same thing, but it's sort of that life cycle, I think. You know, when we're younger and we learn to ride a bike, you know, we have a tricycle, it's got 3 wheels, right? It's a little bit more balanced. And then maybe you graduate to a bicycle with training wheels, right? And then perhaps from there, you then graduate to a 2-wheel bike, right? A regular bicycle. And, as we age and we maybe don't have that mobility anymore, or that flexibility, and so maybe we go back to using a three-wheeled bike, right? My grandfather had one of those that he enjoyed using. And so, you're still getting to enjoy your favorite activity of riding a bicycle, but just modifying it as you age and as your abilities allow you to. I think too often it's easy to just give up, right? Well, if I can't do it just how I used to, then I don't want to do it at all. And I can understand that frustration. But I think with the right motivation and support, we can empower each other to continue working as independently and modifying things as needed so that we can continue to thrive throughout our lives, no matter our age. Okay, so as you can tell, it's getting pretty well covered here. I am not probably going to, well, I might as well finish it. I was going to say I'm not going to finish it, but I will. One thing I do want to show you, because I'm holding this pretty taut, because if I don't, then the yarn might slip off and, fall into like the middle here, or just completely unravel. Another way, if you don't, if it's too difficult to just hold the yarn tight here, another cardboard heart here. So what you can do then is go along the outside edge here and cut little notches. Nothing too big, but maybe, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch in. You can do that all the way around the heart. So that way you do have something to anchor the yarn in. And another way just to keep it a little bit more stable. So I'll show you an example here. So there's a notch. You see that right there? And then I could go across and there's another notch there, right? And so now that is staying pretty well without me having to really grip it. So that's another way that you can do this activity without really having to hold the yarn tight or worrying about it falling off or bunching like that, okay? So typically, I like to cover these then until I don't see the cardboard anymore. And again, the thicker the yarn you'll use, the more coverage you are going to have. And it really is your preference. You really could paint this heart, this cardboard, red underneath it, and then if there was a little bit of the cardboard peeking through, you wouldn't really notice that much then because the yarn would be red and so would the background. So it really, it's adaptable. You can do a lot of different things if you want to. You could switch up the yarn, you could use several different colors. Again, make it your own. You get the creative freedom to do whatever you like with that. So see, I got a couple holes in the front. So you do want to make sure that you flip it around. So this side I thought, oh yeah, this looks pretty good. But then I flipped it over and I realized, oh, I've got a hole right there and, a couple little spots up here that I want to have covered. So there's something about yarn wrapping or an activity like this that's sort of meditative. It's like it doesn't take a whole lot of your attention, but enough of it to sort of clear your head if you want to. It doesn't, you're not intensely staring at like a painting or something, and it doesn't require a whole lot of extra thought, but this is a good activity to kind of get lost in if you need a little relaxation or a break or something. Okay, so then when I come up with the end, when I feel like I've had it pretty well covered, I will cut it. And what I'm going to do now is just tuck that yarn just underneath some of the other yarn, right? Just so you can't see it as well. And I mean, there's enough yarn on there that it will just stick. All right, so there is our heart. Now I'll show you the next step here. And I have several of these hearts that are already done up here, and I want to show you what it might look like if we turn this into some garland. You can throw some of this really pretty purple yarn in, or again, I said you can make it however you see fit. Okay, so I have all the hearts that I want. What I am going to do is take some yarn here. So this is a thicker yarn that I'm going to use as the, I don't know, the rope, I guess, to kind of link them all together. And I'm also going to use, see if I can get it here. I'm just going to create some small loops here. Cut some string like that. I don't know, maybe that's like 6 inches or so. And I'm just going to go to the inside, so right here, and pick up a couple pieces of yarn. And I'm going to slide, so I'm sliding this end in underneath that. So then when it hangs, it'll be hanging from this. And I'm just going to tie off that little loop. But I have enough on the end here that I could tie it to my other yarn, the larger yarn here, right? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and tie that to the larger yarn. Okay, so you can see here that I have one already hanging from that piece of yarn. And I'll do one more for you so you can see. All right, so again, probably 6-inch piece of yarn, maybe a little bit longer. And taking from the center here, just grabbing a couple pieces of yarn that are right in the middle. Oops. This one's kind of tight, so it's a little bit more difficult to get under. All right, so that is now in there. So we have our heart right there. And can kind of hold it up and see where you want them spaced out or how you'd like them spaced out. Make sure they're not really running into each other or anything when you hang it up. So where are the two of them sort of hanging together here? I'll do one more. Well, I might as well finish it off for you so you can see it, right? It was about a year ago that I really got into fiber art, or essentially working with yarn or fabric or soft materials such as that, as an art form, right? So nobody in my family necessarily knit or crocheted or even really sewed for that matter. So that wasn't something that was really in my upbringing, but it is something that's always fascinated me. And so we did, through my art therapy program, we had to choose a semester-long project for 3 of the semesters. And for one of them, I decided to work with just making sure that I'm evenly spaced apart here. It doesn't look kind of goofy. So anyways, for one of the semesters, I decided to do fiber art. And so I worked with different textured yarn, different thickness and everything, and I crocheted these different sculptural shapes and created something that sort of looked like a cocoon. And so I just had a lot of fun with it. I think the reason I really liked it was because instead of like when you start to crochet something or knit something, you typically have an expectation of what you're creating, right? So maybe you're making a washcloth or a scarf or a hat or something. With this actual art piece that I was creating, I had no expectations. It was when the pandemic first started that I was working on this, and I found it very therapeutic for me to choose a different kind of yarn, or something tighter or something that was larger, that sort of helped me work through some of those difficult feelings throughout the beginning of the pandemic. And it created this beautiful cocoon-like shape that I felt really embodied what the pandemic felt like for me as a student and as an essential healthcare worker during that time, and how it felt hopeful because I was learning, and we were all kind of doing it together. And then, with the idea being that experience fostered a lot of growth and opportunity to experience something that many of us never thought we would in our lifetime. And my hope was then that I would emerge, or we would as a community emerge out of this cocoon into something beautiful, and knowing that we did it together. So a little cheesy, but thanks for sticking with me. Okay, so I have 3 of them here, and I'm just going to show you as I hang them up, hold them up. Oops, and that one flipped off here, but so tie them tighter. I only have them tied once here, so then you can just hang this over your door, hang it on your wall, just sort of a cute little activity, and something fun that you can do almost at any age and with limited materials here. So thank you so much for sticking around and watching this video. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me in the Life Enrichment office here at Oakwood. I look forward to seeing your creations and bringing you a new video next week. Thank you. Bye.